Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. It's September 25th, 8:30 a.m. my time. I want to give y'all a market update just on things that I'm seeing not only in Bitcoin, but in the altcoin world, how I see the market panning out over the next few days, right? And how we're going to go about playing it for the next quarter, right? Because Q3 is actually coming up to an end. We're at the end of September, so October, November, December begins Q4. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is quarterly returns coin. Okay. So this is one of the charts that you could look at. You could go to coinglass.com and you can look at this chart. So we'll visit that real quick. But first, let's go to looking at where the market is structurally, right? So structurally, what we have is um, we have a low that was put in. This was a low that was caused by the uh, yen crisis, right? The yen unwind trade, the carry trade that ended. I'm not going to go into details about that, but basically, this was caused by a meltdown in the financial markets of Japan, which kind of bled into America. And then from there, we had a very nice grind up, tagged 65K and then again rolled over for a higher low, right? So if this is your low, this is your higher low. And this low was somewhere around 52 and a half. And this low was around 49 flat. Okay. So what we have right now is a local structure that is showing us that we have a low and a higher low. What we now need is generally to begin your uptrending structure the the high that created this low. So if this is the low, this is the high, right? You generally need to clear this high. Then you could say we are now in a larger uptrend like that, because then you have a low, a higher low, a high, but then you have a higher high up here, right? That's if we clear this high right here. However, right now, I think everyone is definitely excited that BTC is back to 65K. And though that is, quite exciting and it is a feat in and of itself, it's entirely possible that this goes higher. But up until the point that it clears this high, one has to assume that we are still in a larger six month downtrend. Why? Because you have this high, this low, another lower high, another lower low, another lower high, another lower low, right? So this is your downtrend that you have been in. And you have to assume that even now, okay, it is possible that these two can be wrapped into one, another lower high like that. And this could actually, in fact, go lower. Okay. And I'm not saying it has to, I'm saying it is possible because the last 6 months, this started in March. We're now in September, almost October now, right? So that is basically your 6 to 7 month, downtrending range that you've had. Okay. So up until that point, I'm going to assume that, okay, we're still in a large range. You don't necessarily have to assume that this has to go down, but you do have to assume that this area right here, okay, is going to get defended because this is where prices made this little top, sold off, made this little top, sold off, right? So is it possible that from here, maybe they have one more sell off? Maybe it's, another higher low mini sell off right here. And maybe we only go back to like 60K or 59K. That's also possible, right? But I do think that from here, okay, we either consolidate further and we either break up or we're going to pull back and then we push back up, okay? Or this marks the high and we have now continued our downtrend to, 45K, 40K, whatever, right? This again goes to a different chart that I had mentioned months ago, okay? Or at least like 2 months ago, which is this. It's a different view of what BTC is looking at, from a broad multi-year perspective, which is if you actually look at this 2019, 2020 bear market or consolidation, whatever you want to call it, right? I believe we're in the very, very same style of market right now. And we might be waiting for this kind of sell-off. And again, this was a COVID sell-off, so I'm not going to give it much weight because it's a once in a lifetime event. But do we have a pullback to 40K, which is the yearly open, right? What is from 70K high to 40K? That's a 40% drop. 40% is not that big. COVID drop was more from this high to this low. That's a 62% drop. That's much different than 42, right? 42% versus 62%. See, in the history of Bitcoin, especially when it has its big parabolic run-ups, it has many, okay, many high 30s to low 40s pullbacks, as you could see, okay, right there. See, that's at least two of them are 40%, and the other two are mid to high 30% pullbacks, right, before it continues on up. So it is entirely possible that BTC right now is experiencing something very similar to this kind of movement, but is rather stuck in this larger consolidation pattern before it makes this big run up. So where does that put us right now? It puts us somewhere close to the tail end of this end of consolidation structure before this run up. So if you see that this run up right here, after prices ran up from the low of 3,200 up to about 13,000 and some change, prices went sideways for about 230 days before having that big sell off and then rebound, right? So where does that put us? Okay. From here, about 230 days takes us to sometime in the end of October. Okay. So by the end of October, we should have more clarity of the next big run starting. And in fact, I can point you a little bit further to other metrics. For example, global liquidity also being somewhat of a leading indicator to Bitcoin prices, right? Whenever global liquidity starts to tick up, Bitcoin prices start to basically tick up. Or rather, when global liquidity bottoms, Bitcoin's not too far behind before it bottoms and starts moving on up. Okay, so that's one example. Another one is actually really interesting by someone I really like into the cryptoverse, this guy, Benjamin Cowan, right? He puts out this really cool chart of where BTC is in context of the previous two cycles. Okay. So as measured from the low, BTC is the exact same spot as it was in the last two cycles. So pink is where we are right now. All right. And these are the previous two cycles. Okay. The green and the yellow, or the green and the orange, whatever color that is. And so Bitcoin right now should be gearing up for this big run up. Again, that's if history were to repeat or rhyme in some way. And that's specifically for BTC. So we have, like I said, this chart right here, which is Bitcoin is perfectly aligned with the previous two cycles for a big run up. We also had the halving behind us. Like I said, we also know that global liquidity, okay, is also ticking up, which means Bitcoin is a direct beneficiary of that global liquidity, and crypto markets in general benefit from that too. And then finally, we also bring this back to how Bitcoin does in Q4, right? Q4 is generally the strongest quarter, as you can see, right? Going back to 2013, 479%, 81%, 58%, 215%. Sure, sometimes in bear markets, you have some pretty brutal fourth quarters, but I don't know if you can say that we're in a bear market right now versus quite possibly consolidation beginning a new bull market. So I would probably say higher chances are that we're going to put in this kind of quarter. Maybe not this kind of quarter, maybe not this kind of quarter, But this kind of quarter, 81 or 56 or a 58%, I do think somewhere in the middle of that is plausible, right? And again, you could look at the monthly distributions as well, right? October is an extremely strong month, right? Out of the last like 10 years or so, you can kind of see that only two of the months in October for the last 10 years have been red. And they've been muted red, like 3% or 3.8% and 12%. Okay, so high chance that October is going to be a very good month. November also skews on the good side. December is a little bit mixed, right? So October and November, probability wise, we're expecting, pretty solid 2 months. Now, tying this back to altcoins and other assets, right? So, say for example, you see many alts like Wild. It's just breaking out. It's not performing as strong as other altcoins, but nonetheless, it's breaking the downtrend that it created this March. So, this is a 7 month downtrend, slowly pushing out, right? Wild may not be the best example, but a better example is something like SUI, right? Where's SUI? Okay. If you look at SUI, SUI had, again, its own downtrend, all right here. However you want to make the downtrend this way or this way. Nonetheless, it broke out. And from this low, SUI is up 280%. TAO, same thing. From this low, and again, this low was created all in the big sell-off in the Japanese crisis, right? Um, TAO is up 238%. Celestia, I'm a little bit mixed on. I was incredibly bullish until I found out 16% of their total supply for Celestia is actually is being unloaded in 15 days, which scared the crap out of me because that's a lot for the market to absorb, right? 16% of supply, that's like, I don't know, like 150, $200 million or something. I don't know how the market's going to absorb that, but nonetheless, Celestia is also up a very nice and modest 74%, right? There are bigger majors which have been consolidating sideways, like, of course, Solana, currently sitting at 150, which is again a very good price. Um, but it's struggling to kind of break out, right? So it's like the smaller market cap assets which have high potential, like SUI, TAO, TIA, um, even Phantom, right? Phantom has had some really phenomenal news lately of they are transitioning over to something called Sonic, which is their new brand, Sonic Labs, as you can see, right? Same sort of um, L2 chain, very fast, very secure. I used Phantom back in the day. It just was the fact that they didn't have enough people and volume and money, but maybe this time around they do, right? They have a big airdrop coming for a lot of people. So the point is, Phantom again, same thing. Off the lows, Phantom is up 163%, right? So all in all, you have some really incredible assets that are showcasing their ability to move pretty strongly. And one of the ways I actually like to showcase that is something like this, which is relative strength of these altcoins that I just pointed out. Oh, also Say. Let me just show you guys Say, SEI. Okay. Say's up a decent amount too, right? Strong alt up 123%, right? And here's how I like to measure it. So I like to compare the alts together versus the base, which is Solana right here, right? Because Solana, if you can outperform Solana, clearly you're doing some incredible work as a project and as a asset, right? Because if I can just hold Solana and I can outperform all of these, why should I hold any of these, that have not a lot of users, not a lot of track record, not a lot of money and volume and apps being built. But if you are outperforming Solana, okay, like Tia is, so we're looking from the beginning of September. So if you look at the bottom left of my screen right here, this is the beginning of September. And since then, the outperformance has been more pronounced by SUI and then TAO and then Say, and then FTM, TIA, Wild, and then Solana. So Solana is up 10% on the month of September. Wild is up 26, TIA is up 44, FTM 58, Say 61, 98, and 115 by TAO and SUI, right? So the strongest performer right now is clearly SUI. Okay, so that's the one you generally want to be paying attention to. Okay. So this is kind of my outlook right now on the market, which is pay attention to strong performers. You can also go to Masari, and what I like to do is you can look at data sets right here, and I like to compare. Let's see, Screener. I think it's within Screener. Um, I think they move stuff around, so let me try to figure out where this thing is. Ecosystem. No, it's not even ecosystems. But you definitely want to use Masari because it's a very, very good platform to be able to like, not only do research of the individual projects, but find like relative outperformers, dev commits and, growing ecosystems to apps that are being created to, almost like block level data of what's doing well, what's not doing well. Okay. Research reports. Where is this thing? I think it's in Screener. Let me just find categories. Okay, there we go. Right. So say for example, like the category of yeah, DePin. DePin is a good category. Right. So within the DePin category, okay, um, whenever it loads, within the DePin category, all right, you will have, let's just say, let's do price change year to date. Okay, I think at the top it should be helium, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think it should be anything else because helium has been a clear outperformer, unless it's like some other small project. Yeah. See, I kind of figured it'd be some really small, puny project like this one, YOM. I've never even heard of it. But point is like you should generally see the bigger assets. See, helium is right there. Helium is a market cap wise, $1.3 billion asset. Okay, and then Tau, I don't know how Tau is deep in, but let's just say it is. Tau is at 4 billion. And these are, if you're looking for a specific category, that's how you want to map it. Like year to date, who are the best performers? How are they doing? What are they doing? You could see Tau sits under the machine learning AI space. Helium sits under the wireless and sensor networks space. Render should be up here too. Render is streaming and rendering. Golem is general compute. Um, AIOZ, this one I followed for a while. So cloud platforms. Demetra, I don't even know what this is general cryptocurrency, so that doesn't make sense why it's here. Nosana, it's more of a compute slash AI platform. This one is a solid project, by the way. So again, general compute up, top four category of gains year to date, right? So this is how you want to generally look at different categories of who are the outperformers. Um, and if you want to bet on those, you want to see how your asset is holding up compared to the top performers. Or if you're simply looking to um, allocate your money, right, you have to ask yourself, well, which one should I buy? And this is kind of the research that you could do. And again, not investment advice, just telling you this is how I would generally go about it. Let's see where gaming is. I feel like gaming has been slacking for a while, right? Um, Let's see. Gaming? Yeah, there's gaming, metaverse and gaming. I want to see who's leading gaming. Okay. So within the gaming category, it's been pretty muted for like the last year or so, you know, up 129% Matrix Fire. I don't even know what this is, but it's worth 130 million. So let's do year to date percentage change. Yeah, I feel like we've not heard anything from the gaming segment for like almost a year and a half, 2 years. Let's see, Neutropia, I don't even know what this is. 5 million. up over 10,000%. That's very new. Um, Aviator, Gamer Coin, these ones, these are all, 20, 30, 50 million coins. FriendPet I've used. Um, Let me see what else. Matrix I've heard of. Yeah, most of these like I've never even heard of. Tower I've heard of. Rake.com I've heard of. Ronin I've heard of. None of these I've heard of. So yeah, these are your gaming assets of, things that are performing well versus not. So yeah, this is how you generally want to pay attention, okay? But anyway, so going back to the broader outlook, right? This is how I see the market panning out still, but I'm not hell-bent on shorting BTC or anything. Just wanted to give you guys a general outlook. Now, like I said, we're coming up to the let me do this. Let me do this. Okay, we're coming up to the end of the month here, as well as the end of the quarter. And what that teaches us is, we have to kind of look at how does the monthly candle look? Well, it doesn't really look anything quite special. Sure, there's 5 more days left, so anything could happen. Maybe October puts in a big bullish candle, but again, I do think that we are much more closer to this structure in the market here. Okay. So that's kind of my fundamental belief of where we are. And so if that's the case, then maybe another month or so, we may have more chop, more downside. But I also want to keep in mind, like I told you, October is an extremely bullish month, right? So I want to keep that in mind also. But is it possible that maybe this October, sure, BTC puts in a green month, but it's more so the alts that you may want to pay attention to, right? Like maybe SUI puts in a bigger month in October. Maybe Say puts in a bigger month in October, or Phantom, or these assets that talk to y'all about, TAO, Say, FTM, TIA, etc. Right. So these are entirely possible scenarios that you generally want to be paying attention to. But what you don't want to be doing is hoping and praying and shorting the market, hoping it goes down, because that's not going to be good. Give me 1 second, bear with me. The trading view is a little bit slow. Let me go to my other chart. Okay. So ideally, what you want to see here for the remainder of September is a very nice consolidation structure. And if it gives you a long like this, where it continues to put in these higher lows like this, and it looks like it's starting to squeeze up, that's going to be a really, really solid long to push all the way up into this high. Okay, again, that's if you believe that this is going to eventually break out. All right. Um, if you don't believe it's going to break out and you think that, oh, well, this is the top, and it's going to roll over, then your best bet is you short here, stops right above this high, right? Because, for the most part, like if it's going to squeeze, it may do this and then this, sure. But for the most part, I think this high will be held. All right. Unless it really just wants to rip up higher. Right. So if you want to short, personally, I would keep my stop right just above these highs. Um, and then aim for maybe 61, 60K. But again, I'm not really for that. I'm not a proponent of that kind of strategy right now. Though I am a little bit uncertain of where things are going to go. Shorting is not something that I want to be doing for BTC at this moment. Over the next few days, let's just say, BTC starts to consolidate like this and slowly breaks, and then it can't get back up here and it starts to roll over again, then I would say, well, that's a fair argument. Like maybe we're starting to roll over, right? Then you're short to be break of this level, stop up here or up here. Your first target would probably be these levels right here. And your next target will probably be this wick right here. And your final target was probably be the yearly open of 2024, which is 42K. Okay. But again, non-investment advice. I don't plan on doing that. Right now, I'm just kind of trying to find the winners. SUI, TAO, say wherever I can find a trade to get in, long the market there. And that's pretty much it. All right. Um, Other than that, one thing that I've kind of found a little bit of trouble in is, how BaseChain has been doing. Now, you guys know very well, I run Roaring Kitty, the meme coin on BaseChain. It hasn't really broken down or anything. It's just kind of staying sideways. This is, in fact, a very good thing because, the bigger holders are really not selling. So I think that's a pretty strong point of us being a very credible asset, especially in the meme coin space. So basically from the high in the June to the low right here, and right here, we've held pretty strongly, right? The biggest holders have held pretty strongly. The community has nothing but grown. We've had a ton of really cool and fun memes from the election to the Star Wars to Gladiator to Jurassic Park, Godzilla, bull market, all kinds of really fun memes that we've created. So hopefully you guys, enjoy the good vibes and enjoy the memes. You can also see our community has still been active, right? With 1,700 Telegram members, an insanely like happy, active community, people constantly, doing their best to contribute in whatever way possible. I think it's been really fun, good, um, and we're just having a lot of fun along the ride. Same thing with our Twitter, right? We've only grown in followers. We've only grown in engagement and all kinds of fun stuff. And I do my best to put out these videos to our members every few days, to give people an update of what's going on in Roaring Kitty, meme competitions, community updates, etc. So come hang out with us, follow us, join us. This is our banner. This is our coin. We are on BaseChain. But I will say, one thing that has been interesting to me about BaseChain is, it has definitely uh, been a slow sort of pickup in volume and users and transactions. I do think it's ultimately going to get better, especially for October. But for now, it's been a bit of a struggle bus, especially for those of us who are on base. But I hope that picks up soon. And, Roaring Kitty will be the direct beneficiary of that, right? So let's see where it goes. Let's see where BTC goes. Things like alts of uh, DeFi and SUI and Solana, say FTM. Let's see where those go. All right. Thanks, everybody. Good luck. Take care and chat soon.